It's NugLife Radio, a higher level of education. Call 855-456-7625 or like our page on Facebook.com/NugLife to receive full benefits of the NugLife.
That's how it's supposed to be, living young and wild and free.
Everybody, welcome to another great episode of the NugLife Radio Show. We are the first syndicated radio show in counterculture education, and we are here to provide a higher level of education and answer a lot of questions and have a great fun with you. I'm your host. I'm Medicinal Mike, cannabis activist, 420 comedian, and we're here with my co-host, the family doctor, 30 years addiction counselor, and also runs a very practical cannabis recommendation program, Dr. Wayne Kelly.
Welcome to the show. Hopefully we'll be providing some entertaining education today and some enlightenment about medical cannabis. So, Mike, back to you.
Nice. We are a higher, again, level of education. And today's lineup, we're going to have in Zen. He's our grower buddy from the show. He comes in all the time as much as he can. We're going to have him telling us all about how to get your plants growing in the ground. Summertime's coming up. We're also going to have the Bens. Not the Bens that you get climbing up out of a high breed of water, but the Bens, who are a glycerin pen knowledge fountain. And they're going to tell us all about the great new glycerin pen that's out there. You may have heard of it already. If you haven't, here's a great place to learn about it today. We're going to learn about medical stuff going on in today's show.
Oh, and I was just talking to these guys, and I'm amazed. They are biochemical experts. They seem to really know what they're talking about. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to tell us.
We only get the cream of the crop here at NugLife. We get the power hitters in the cannabis community, and that's what it's all about. Today we're going to start with Canna News. What's going on in the world? Marijuana news being one of the least promoted news that's going around right now. So we're here to help get some of them smaller stories out to you in the world. So we're learning now in the news, FBI struggles to hire developers who don't smoke weed, doctor. It's saying, and I remember hearing too, that the higher the education level, the more prominent you are to smoking marijuana to cope with. But it's saying that the FBI cannot get anyone to pass a drug test. So what they're doing is they are opening 2,000 spots for marijuana smokers who are really, really great at computer stuff and want to shut down marijuana, I guess. So if you smoke marijuana, but you hate marijuana, the FBI is a place for you. So there's 2,000 job openings. They're there for you. Make sure you get out there and grab them. Not a fan of the FBI.
I'm not surprised that in the digital age, the people who are leading the charge into the new worlds might be using cannabis.
You see, I like how the FBI is like that small window, like, hey, we're going to let a couple of you guys in. And then soon, 100 years down the road, we're going to find that the FBI owns the patent on cannabis.
Yeah. And maybe their best programmers are actually using a little bit.
Study legalizing weed actually increases alcohol consumption. Emory University-based research used data from the National Survey on Drug Use and Health from 2004 to 2011, looking at states that implemented some form of medical marijuana legislation over those years. So what they're saying is, hey, big alcohol and tobacco, calm down, at least big alcohol, because we're not going to take away as believed sales from alcohol because everybody's buying weed with it. They're trying loosely, I think, to get alcohol companies to say, hey, we want marijuana and put some of that big money behind them because people are now finding that they're high enough to be more comfortable hanging out in a bar in a social setting. So they're buying a couple more drinks a month.
Well, listen, Mike, I'm all for getting big corporations off our back. And if one of them's alcohol, then that's great. But I got a bone to pick with this study. This is a very, very weak study. In my own experience in medical practice, seeing thousands of cannabis users, hundreds of times have I had it reported to me that people are able to get off alcohol. Heavy alcohol users are able to stop using. Alcoholics are able to treat their alcoholism with cannabis. So this is a very, very weak study. They're talking about 6 to 9% increase in the state in general, no direct correlation with cannabis users, 6 to 9 increase in drinking 4 drinks in a day. So that means if you do that once a week, over about a 4 or 5 month period, you do it one more time. And again, these are general statistics for the state. They're not talking specifically about cannabis users. It's just a very weak correlation. I'm sorry, but it's a poor study.
It seems like they're finding news stories and stuff to try to bring to a higher light than it should be to create more attention around a topic. Especially in this case too, if they're not even doing the studies properly, because there's many studies that they poke holes in, but they get all that press and that media as soon as that study comes out, and it ends up tarnishing or helping the name in one way or another.
I agree completely. It's more about manipulating the media than it is about truth.
Happy story too for you, Dr. Coolest cat ever. Its owner was presented with 5 grams of weed from this little kitten. That's the NugLife feel good story right there.
Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to fetch.
What does your cat bring to you?
Dead mice, but I'm going to work on him.
I've never tried to smoke one, but happy here to Lucky the cat bring in his mom, who promptly called the police to have them come and pick up her bag of, quote, drugs. That her drug-sniffing cat. The cat will be serving 5 to 15 years, looking at life.
They didn't expect them to pick up the cat and charge the cat, which the cat is now in county jail.
Free Tinkerbell. We don't rest till they come out. Holder. Holder holds the power to reschedule marijuana and better our society. Holder is the Attorney General, and he's the one who's in charge of the laws, from what I'm getting. I'm not the most political in this, but the John Holder, what's his name, Doctor?
Well, Holder, he's the Attorney General for the United States. Eric Holder. Eric Holder, he's the Attorney General. Anyway, I mean, it just tells you that these classifications are political. And that's the problem with him, that a politician, I mean, he's not a doctor, he's not a researcher, and he has the power to make the decision of how to categorize substances. And sure, we'd like to see him use that power to change it to our advantage, to recategorize cannabis to a more rational category that reflects the reality of the scientific research. But so my hit on this is, 1, it just tells you how political the classification is, and 2, let's hope he uses it right.
You think they're profiting? I feel like there's got to be a way that they're profiting out there in some way by keeping it labeled as a narcotic. I know if you go to jail, people have to pay taxes, and the jails make money by keeping you in there.
It's the cornerstone of the whole system of oppression that's involved with the medical marijuana world. As long as you keep it classified as a narcotic that has no medical benefits and is a dangerous substance, which is what that classification is, then you're able to enforce a lot of crazy laws.
Texas teen facing life in prison for pot brownies. This is a big story right now. Our buddy here, 19-year-old Jacob Lavoro, with possession and distribution of 660 grams is what he's being charged with. He had a brownie with some hash oil in it. And a big gray area right now is how do they measure the amount of medicine, weed, whatever you got on you, when it's in a brownie? So what they're doing is they are weighing everything, the eggs, the sugar, the packaging it's in. And if you put 1 gram of, let's say, wax or whatever kind of concentrate you like into a pan of brownies, you are now carrying 660 grams of whatever drug they want to classify it as in that state. And you'll be tried as so. So Texas is actually putting him up for a life sentence for carrying this brownie.
5 years to life. This story just makes me ill. If you note in the same article that people who are arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon have a shorter possible sentencing than this kid who's getting his eggs and flour and weighed in his brownie. This is really a disturbing and sickening story.
And then you still have people like OJ and all these money people who get out of their crimes. And this kid carrying a tray of brownies is now going down.
Yeah, in the same state, someone who was just convicted of murder was given 20 years, and they're talking about a kid getting his brownies, life in prison. This is so absurd. It's revolting.
I say stand out and fight that charge until that judge is about to. If he's going to say life and you're like, there's no way to go, head to Mexico, man. Tijuana is a great place to visit here in the summertime and even a better place to live. So if it doesn't go your way there, Jacob, you can stay at my house before we cross the border. Right on. Minnesota to officially become the 22nd legal medical marijuana state. Restrictions apply. This is fantastic. I feel like Minnesota's bandwagon jumping because they're saying that medical marijuana will be legal as long as you're not smoking pot.
Yes. That I don't understand. Can you explain that to me, Mike?
The specifics allow us for the use of medical marijuana in oil, pill, and vapor form. Using plant material is restricted under the bill. Some say this compromise provision does not go far enough or may be keeping patients away from the only way of effectively treating their pot. So, yeah, if you're a fan of smoking pot, you can smoke it, just not in Minnesota, but they do support you smoking it.
You can only smoke the processed forms. It's like saying you can only process cheese.
It's like I could smoke wax or some kind of concentrate in a vapor form. It doesn't make any sense.
But not the pure organic plant. That's the healthiest form. Now,
and that's the problem
right?
with people not being educated properly on cannabis and effects. You get these crazy laws going out here that are like, yeah, you could smoke pot, but they don't really need to smoke the pot, right? Like, we can give them something else.
Yes, and then who's going to be manufacturing these things? So, I mean, there's obviously an economic and political dimension to this.
Oh, it's going to be Kellogg. It's going to be the can't believe it's not butter people. Eventually, when cotton people figure out how to grow hemp, don't tell them, but you can make more money on hemp.
Or it's the hemp that's not hemp.
Colorado fires up. Boy, Colorado, man, you're really taking advantage. Maybe you share the spotlight with Washington or somebody neighboring to you. Colorado fires up $10 million marijuana research fund. They get to be the first in everything because they were the awesome person enough to move that bill forward, and now they've made over $19 million, and it's like Scrooge McDuck money in Colorado. They're jumping in, they're swimming around in it. Yay, Colorado.
And I want to applaud them. I almost feel like clapping that they're putting money where it should be, which is into research.
And they will be the first.
Story.
Explaining to the Huffington Post, Colorado State Representative Christina Duran noted, patients will benefit from this investment, and Colorado will become a national leader in developing medical marijuana research.
Two Joes for them. That's terrific.
I can't wait till the medical marijuana degree comes out, where you're specifically like, I majored in pot. I minored in brain surgery, and I could help you, but that's not what I'm here for. So that's cannabis news. This is Dr. Wayne Kelly, Medicinal Michael. We're the NugLife Radio Show. We are a higher level of education and a whole lot of fun, if you ask me. And we're coming back. We have a great show. We have Zen coming in to talk about growing stuff and how you can do it. And we also have the Bens coming in to tell us all about glycerin and how everything is awesome. Again, an action-packed show. We are the Counterculture Cannabis Education Show. You're listening to the NugLife Radio Show. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Stay tuned for more enlightening, entertaining education and opinions.
Cussing forever we come down. Smoke with us is the indica. I back up a bowl from the dub now, baby. Whatever. With this melodic cussing forever we come. I told the wicked herb just my love. I back up a bowl from the dub now, baby. Time of rain, the fall is always hard inside. Set free your spirit free again. I'm screaming, my pocket's empty. I I pull, but not a penny. Life I can't afford, but I still find beauty in a man. I got such an herb of plenty, and someone might call us trendy, call us what you will, but then we'll fussy yourself. Cussing forever we come down. Smoke with us this indica. I pick up a bowl from the tub now, baby. Whatever. With this melodic cussing forever we come. I soak the garden herb, that's my love. I pick up a bowl from the tub now, baby. My sinner's words as strong as a man. I lament I do, but you want to get in through my window. But it's in dope, but just one foot on the ground, I kill him now. And it's meant to, I'm a sinner, baby. And unless I'm guessing, I'll see you be stressing this word for you. And ganja too, that's my dub. With this melodic cussing, forever we come down. Smoke with us, this the indica. I back up a bowl from the tub now, baby. Whatever. With this melodic cussing, forever we come. I took the garden herb, that's my love. I back up a bowl from the tub. Between my words, fine lines, and they're crawling. When I'm in this smoke this one with me, little mama, smoke this blunt on me. I said, tote this spliff with me, marijuana, toke one and release. I don't burn this spliff for free, little mama, build a crutch for me. Have to burn this bridge on me. You want foundations made from green, then we'll burn one down. Yes, we burn one down.
Welcome back. We're back again. Dr. Wayne Kelly and myself, Medicinal Mike. Here we are, Doctor. We've made it back. Another great segment. The first one, cannabis news going on in the world. We are the NugLife Radio Show, a higher level of education. What's the medical term for cottonmouth, Doctor?
Stuck tongue. I'm not sure. But welcome back anyway. We're here for more education and hopefully entertainment.
Hopefully. I'm working on it every day. Action-packed show again. We have Zen coming in a little bit. He's going to talk about all the gardening stuff to keep our gardens growing and our plants looking pretty and nice. And we're going to have more cannabis news. We're going to get on some medical facts. Dr. Wayne, you're going to teach us everything. We'd like to know everything about medical. When we're done with the show, I'd personally like you to sign a degree for me that states I can be an honorary doctor and just hold your scalpel.
Sure, I can do that for you.
Right on.
Teach you how to cut up plants.
I thought it would be that easy. We are having, coming in next, we're having Green Wave vape pens. If you don't know what these are, I'll give you a little rough inside. And apparently there is a safer way to ingest marijuana, and it's a lot cleaner for you, and they've eliminated the plant matter. Much like Minnesota, this is the way that I guess if you're in Minnesota, you could smoke there because this is as healthy as it gets right here.
Yeah, so, it sounds like exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah. And we're going to welcome to the show the Bens, Ben and Ben from Green Wave Vape Pen.
Thanks for having us.
Bens, welcome again to the NugLife Show. We are new. I love when the guests clap, too, for themselves. Give yourselves a big round of applause right now. All right, there we go. That's a trick. Ben, how you doing today, buddy?
Awesome.
What can you tell us about Green Wave?
I can tell you that we are a local Southern California-based cooperative, and we focus entirely upon providing our patients with organic CO2-based extracts.
If you're not living in California right now, a lot of people aren't. Let's start with what is a cooperative for them? Just a real quick synopsis.
Okay. Well, essentially, with a cooperative, growers and patients, whom are all patients, with their medical needs are banding together and by and large providing medicine for each other.
It's like Walmart for pot, but we've done it legally, and we all help each other with no profit going in there. Nice.
That's correct. Nice. Emphasis on no profit.
And then Green Wave, I'm sitting here looking at one of your pens now. Tell me again, what is this pen? How is you get tell me about your pen.
Okay, let's expound upon this, shall we? Essentially, what you are looking at...
Do they come in that cool leather case? It comes out, he pulls it out like Batman.
Well, this leather case is a separate company who has been gracious enough to bless us. They're Vape Protector. You can look them up, vapeprotector.com.
And those make sure they don't, because I've had a glycerin pen and they leak sometimes in the heat, and that keeps it upright. And
well, it does a lot of things for you. Most of the times they break. People are like, what happened? And it's like, well, you put it in your skinny jeans and you went to a rave and danced for
Magic
4 hours.
Mountain.
And all of a sudden it broke.
Where do you hold the batarang?
The what?
The batarang is how you stop the bad guys when you throw it at them and it comes back to you. No, that's a really cool case.
Can I get it with a laser built in? I've got a lighter, actually. It's got a little laser in the bottom, and you could do lots of things with this. It's really cool.
I'm sure pretty soon your iPhone will just hold everything. Anyways, so what you're looking at here with the actual pen and cartridge is, it's a battery. It's a lithium battery with a small microprocessor chip inside, and the cartridge comes...
And this battery is a rechargeable battery stick.
Correct.
Right? And then it has this tube on the top with all this oily stuff in there, and that's the pot, I'm guessing?
That's correct.
What is in there?
What is in there is...
I'm going to smoke on your pen.
Do it.
Try it. I don't know if there's like a safety or a guy, is that dirty? Like sharing a toothbrush or something.
So if you need CPR, you're not getting it from me, Mike.
Yeah. So what you're tasting right there is CO2 extracted cannabis oil, mixed with the absolute smallest amount of glycol that we can. But you do
very smooth too. Very smooth. I mean, I'm exhaling. There's no cough, but there's definitely a lot of flavor in that.
Yeah, and that comes from us using the lowest pressures and temperatures possible so that we keep the terpenes in the plant.
I have a question, actually.
We drag the terpenes from the plant. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Dr. Wayne Kelly.
This is Dr. Wayne Kelly. I have a question. I've been reading some pretty negative stuff about the waxes being made with benzene. Butane. And it's right. And the contaminants are benzene and other nasty stuff that they're finding in these waxes. So how is your process different? How do you keep from having contaminants in your product?
Well, that part of the process it's different in that we're using carbon dioxide, which is completely non-toxic. And so there are no traces left in the oil after extraction, but if there were, it would be CO2, which you naturally breathe a bit of in your atmosphere with every breath. And how it works is, if you take the gas and you put it under a great deal of pressure and then apply a little bit of heat, it becomes a liquid. It goes into a liquid phase, and you can use that to extract oils.
Now, is this process completely legal, to your knowledge?
Yes, if you're operating as a legal collective.
Yes,
it's definitely more smiled upon, I must imagine, than the butane, because it can be explosive. Or
where can somebody find out? Where can somebody find out where they can get one of these vape pens if they wanted to look in more?
Well, you could go on our website, www.greenwavevape.com, and there we do have a listing of shops that you can explore. You know, not all the shops like to shout out on the website, but a few brave souls have, and I'd highly recommend you check them out.
So go on one of the locator services and put what? Greenwave pens?
Correct.
Greenwave pens into the search engine, and you're going to find them. You can find them are we just in California right now?
Correct. Southern California, local and organic.
But if you're living in another state and there's a way to find it and you really want them that bad, you get a hold of Greenwave. They're going to find you if you don't find them first. We are the NugLife Radio Show. You're sitting in with Dr. Wayne Kelly and Medicinal Michael. We are both cannabis enthusiasts, and Dr. Wayne knows just a lot more about it. So if you want to call and get some education questions answered, you just call up 855-456-7625 and tell us your story. Also, we have the NugLife belt that's coming up that is just for who we think, doctor, is the most deserving, and we're going to give that to them. Just send your story to info@nugliferadio.com. We're still coming up with the gardener, Zen, and he's going to teach us how to grow our plants and keep it well. We're going to talk more with Dr. Wayne Kelly, and he is going to spread his wisdom on us. So keep listening. Thanks again to Greenwave Vape Pens. Make sure you put that into your local search. Google, find them. It is a healthier way to smoke. You're listening again to the NugLife Radio Show, nugliferadio.com, the first syndicated AM/FM cannabis education show for the counterculture.
Come back for some more enlightenment and hopefully entertaining and informative opinions.
Face the day and be on my way. Keep me calm, help me move on. There's one thing that's for sure, we won't hide no more. Dad, you know you taste so good, best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. You know you feel so right, I wanna smoke you now, give me the light. Dabs, you know you taste so good, best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Magic in my hash pipe from the tree of life. These dabs is in my brain, it's keeping me moving. It's making me stronger. How can it be wrong, sir? Dad, you know you taste so good, best kinds of flavor in the neighborhood. Dad, you know you feel so right, I wanna smoke you now, give me the light. Dad, you know you taste so good, best kinds of flavor in the neighborhood. Magic in my hash pipe from the tree of life. taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Dab, you know you feel so right. I wanna smoke you now, give me the light. Dab, you know you taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Magic in my hash pipe from the tree of life. Dab, you know you taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Dab, you know you feel so right. I wanna smoke you now, give me the light. Dab, you know you taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Magic in my hash pipe from the tree of life. Dab, you know you taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Dab, you know you feel so right. I wanna smoke you now, give me the light. Dab, you know you taste so good. Best kind of flavor in the neighborhood. Magic in my hash pipe from the tree of life.
Some of the Doritos, man. No, I'm hungry as hell.
Welcome back to the NugLife Radio Show. You're listening to a higher level of education in the cannabis counter community, where there are not many voices to be heard, but we are here for it. I am one of your great hosts. I am Medicinal Michael, cannabis comedian, activist, enthusiast, and I'm here to try to get some education out to you. And my sole partner in life here is 30-year addiction counselor, physician, family doctor, Dr. Wayne Kelly.
Welcome back. Hopefully we can provide more entertainment, education, opinions. So, Mike, where are we going next?
How awesome was that? I want to thank, too, the Bens for coming in. I'm sitting here trying on one of these little vape pens, and fantastic. I don't smell anything. Russ is in the next room. He hasn't yelled at us one time for any weird smells coming out.
This is the definition of discretion for using cannabis in public, isn't it?
This is nice. This is nice. I usually enjoy the smell, but it's kind of nice not having it. I appreciate that it's not there. We still have action and packedness coming up for this great show we have in our next segment. We have Zen coming in. He's going to talk to us about all our growing and cooperative needs for keeping our gardens safe. And in this segment, we get to pick your brain, doctor. Some of us have premonitions of what we think is right, and we want you to be the guy that helps me get some of that out into the open.
Well, I don't know everything, but I'll do my best. I'd like to just correct something I said about public use. You know, there are public intoxication laws, and the reason that people should be very careful to use cannabis in public is because they're exposed to the being harassed under the public intoxication laws. And I don't think this pen protects you from that. It just makes it more discreet if you're doing it. But we don't recommend it, though.
So if there's a way that they can prove that I'm out walking around, you know, just public areas, and I'm stoned, for lack of a better word, I could get in trouble for that?
Well, I guess it depends on how stoned you are, Mike. And knowing you, I would say probably. But
let them try and find out.
But I think it's the use in public. You can't sit in a park and drink a beer. You can't really sit in a park, or at least without exposing yourself to risk, and smoke a joint.
All right. And I would never sit at a park and smoke, but if I showed up to the park by safety of a back seat and I walked around that park, said park, allegedly stoned, I guess I would be in for a good wrist slapping.
No, you just if you get the question, just say you're drunk.
Okay, it's a lot safer. It's a lot safer to just say you're drunk these days.
Right.
With cannabis too, doctor, for once and everybody, I want them to hear, is cannabis toxic in any way that you know of?
Well, as I've said before, you can overuse anything, including energy drinks and candy bars and whatever. Cannabis is a very, very benign substance. I have never seen a written report or a report of a death from cannabis. I read an article in the American Medical Journal that documented there's never been a reported death from cannabis. If you compare that, as I've said before, with other substances, the pharmaceutical agents, I mean, you can buy over-the-counter Motrin and Naproxen, and there's about 7,000 deaths a year in the United States from GI bleeds and other consequences from just over-the-counter Motrin-like products, anti-inflammatories.
How come they don't promote that more, that there's no deaths from cannabis? You'd think you'd see that on television everywhere, every station, all the time, Like, hey, there's something here. It's helping people, and it's not killing anybody.
Well, I'd ask the opposite question: is how come it's not more widely known how dangerous the pharmaceuticals are and how many deaths we have? Well, as a matter of fact, I take that back. I heard on CNN recently that it's now considered deaths from pharmaceuticals, primarily the opiates, are considered epidemic in this country. Over 120,000 people died last year, and so that's what I feel like should be heard more, is the risk of the alternative.
It's becoming one of the leading killers of man.
Yeah, it's up there in the top 3, I believe, along with cancer and heart attacks.
Oh, and cigarettes, I'm sure, has got to be on that list.
Well, it's a contributing factor. It's not a cause of death.
You know, I quit smoking cigarettes yesterday. I want you to know that.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
one day.
Round of applause for Mike
I feel
there.
like my insides are climbing out of me. And all I think about is being in Marlboro flavor country, but I know I'm healthier and I made a good choice.
So that's why your eyebrows are twitching constantly.
Yeah,
right?
I'm twitching all over today. Yeah. So nobody's ever died from cannabis. Is cannabis the same as hemp?
No, it's a related plant, but of course significantly different. There isn't the level of THC or CBD in the hemp. I mean, hemp is an industrial product, as I'm sure you know, and before the draconian laws were passed in the 30s, hemp was in 50% of all clothing and about 50% of paper. So it's a tremendously valuable crop. But you know as much or more about this than I do, Mike.
Well, one absolutely. But the one thing that I am curious on is it actually, like, if I don't grow my cannabis a certain way to be more medicinal, and we're going to go over this with Zen. He's a little more expert on that. Is cannabis and hemp a different seed entirely of the same family, or is it the same plant? That's what I'm curious about. Let's bring to the show to answer this question. I'd like to welcome everybody, our family friend from the NugLife Radio show. He's been on since the beginning, since it was podcast, helping us with everything that is important to know about growing and growing tips and gardening. ZenTwist.com's Zen. Welcome to NugLife, Zen.
What's up?
Welcome, Zen.
Zen, is cannabis is cannabis and hemp the same plant grown differently, or is it two different seeds?
Two different plants entirely.
Really?
Really? You know, I didn't know that either.
I was completely...
You could smoke a hemp all day and you won't even feel anything. You'll probably just be coughing, but without the fun.
No medicinal benefits to hemp. Why does everybody think it's the same plant?
Because the corporations that be in the paper industry were very successful in campaigning against hemp so that they could dominate the paper market with pulp and sawdust.
Because you always hear the jokes about smoking your shirt, or like...
Specifically the Hearst family in particular.
Right.
That's insane.
And also the clothing industry, right?
Yeah, they demonized it. They were very... I mean, it really was just strategic in the way that they went about just completely demonizing it.
Do they look the same? Is that what it is? Like
Reefer
the leaves?
Madness was one of the... the film Reefer Madness was made specifically to scare the hell out of, the unknown, the people that just didn't know anything about what was going on. They just bought it.
And it still does. You have a lot of that baby boomer generation that still carries from that movie that was put out by President Jefferson, I think, or Eisenhower. I wasn't alive.
I think Jefferson was a bit earlier. Mike.
Yeah. I think he was actually growing.
He's the guy with the wig. Eisenhower's the bald one.
All right, okay. So he put out this movie, that President X, as we'll call him, because I don't know, but it is Eisenhower?
Probably.
Eisenhower, probably.
My experts?
Because it was really before my time, too. It was,
well, Eisenhower was president during the 50s, right?
Right, the baby boomer. So President Eisenhower put a movie together because cotton industry, and this is all alleged information, but they say that the big industry of cotton, where all the money is, because they're making everything, got word that hemp, it takes about 25% of the material to make the same amount. It's cheaper. It's awesome. So he petitioned to the president, here's a whole boatload of money, make this stuff illegal. And I'm guessing linking cannabis and hemp together in some way to only push it, because until right now, I didn't know it was a different plant.
Yeah, I mean, because the fact really is that they just had it's like they had all this surplus of byproduct lying around, and well, what do we do with it? And they just basically said, well, we could use it in paper.
But great. Wasn't DuPont also involved at the time? Because they were coming out with nylon, I think, at the same time.
Absolutely
I've
correct.
read that they wanted hemp off the market. And Anslinger, the first drug czar, who was very instrumental in this legislation.
Aren't
apparently
they involved in all that stuff?
Yeah. He was actually married to one of the heirs to the DuPont fortune.
Oh, God.
So there is all these convoluted political issues going on.
So their linoleum floors today, had it not been for Mr. Schlesinger, would be made out of hemp. And your house would smell nice and not like cat pee.
And biodegradable, too.
So we're going to come right back with more from Zen. You're going to hear more from Dr. Wayne Kelly and I. We're going to take a little break here soon. I want you to know that you're listening to the NugLife Radio Show. We are a higher level of education and a little bit of entertainment, we hope so. We still have more coming in from Dr. Zen, Dr. Wayne. We want to thank the pens coming in from the Glycerin pens, Green Wave, vape pens. I'll get it right eventually.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Action-packed show we have for you, so keep listening. We're going to be right back.
Back for more entertainment and interesting opinions. Just hang on.
It's the day that I was born. Whoa. Every morning I wake up and sing this song. But this song right here. Now I got so many to give away. Yeah. This is my contribution to society. Once told me there's a nest in my head. Yeah. One day these ideas they started to hatch. I rushed upon onto the ground and then they started to wallow around. Eventually they flew away with roses in the mouth. This is how my information started to spread.
NugLife Radio, a higher level of education. Call 855-456-7625 or like our page on Facebook.com/NugLife to receive full benefits of the Nug Life.
They look like a cigar, man.
Welcome back. We're having a great time. The NugLife Radio Show. We are here. We are the higher level of education. We are your entertainment source for a cannabis counterculture community. There's people out there spilling bad knowledge on you and teaching you that pot is bad for you and it's not helping people and becoming biofuel and building houses with it and bricks. And we're the people that are here to tell you they're wrong. I am Medicinal Mike, cannabis enthusiast and comedian, and we're here with 30-year family doctor, physician, addiction addiction counselor, Dr. Wayne Kelly.
Welcome back, and thank you for the intro, Mike.
And we still have in the studio Zen, the grower gardener, the Johnny Pot seed of the real world right now. Zen, from what I've seen, likes to run around just throwing seeds as he walks. There is marijuana growing up and down San Marcos through Southern California, San Diego. Zen, welcome back.
Schnapps is in the air.
There's schnapps. A little bit of Goldschlager in the morning kind of helps the world go round. We were talking about, we had to correct something, and that was Green Wave vape pens. No glycerin in them, maybe a very tiny little, but really none in there. I'm just accustomed to saying it because that was the original crap that I used to smoke. And they brought out Green Wave, which is better than the crap I used to smoke. So,
and I don't think it's crap. It's just
no. What I used to smoke was horrible. I used to make it myself. It was
God.
It was a mixture of butter and molasses, and I usually didn't have a lot of marijuana in the house to add to it. But there were things that looked like marijuana.
Well, I'm impressed with their quality standards. It seems like they know what they're doing, and they're producing a safe product, and which is the goal here. So.
And delicious tasting too, isn't it? Being on the reel, it tastes good. I'm used to most pens having that battery taste, and I don't have that with this. This thing is just vape, like vapors. It's just coming out of my mouth, and it doesn't smell, and that's fantastic.
We have to correct the U.S. history mistake we made during the last session, right?
Yeah, we just spend the last segment of our show correcting all the mistakes.
That's absolutely.
U.S. history, the president that was putting out the Reefer Madness movie in that time period, and under that was...
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt
was president at the time.
Well done.
Right. I thought it was Lincoln, but I was completely off.
1936. It was a little earlier than we remembered.
So again, you're listening to the NugLife Radio Show. We are correcting all the wrong information put out there, whether it be by us or the corporation. We're doing it. Zen.
The difference between us and others is that we correct it.
That's right. We are correcting it immediately, too. The turnaround time on that.
Didn't take years.
If you're listening on your AM, FM station, or you're listening to us via NugLifeRadio.com, or you're on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or any of those people that are important out there. Cannabis with a higher level of education. Zen, teach us how to grow plants, man. There's people out there, and they're in these lands with just luscious soil and sunlight, and they're flipping their seed around in the air, and they don't know what to do with it.
And
teach us.
Leave it so nebulous for me to just go, where do you want me to start? I mean, you want to talk about sprouting seeds? Because I think more people probably struggle with that aspect more than the growing aspect.
Okay, I want to grow, and I don't have a clue of where to start. So where do I start? Where do I get the seeds or the plants? How do I choose them? How do I take care of them? What do I do with them?
Well, there's a variety of ways. First, you would like to have fresh seeds. How
can you tell if a seed is fresh or not?
Actually, by the color. The older the seed, seriously, the older the seed, the lighter coloring it gets. It sort of gets almost bleached out. Especially, being exposed to light, which you don't want them to be. But just they age and they get really funky. And I learned this because in the beginning I knew nothing. And I purchased a bunch of seeds, and I won't say exactly where, but they came from Europe. And somehow they magically came here. And as I went through all the different packets, I noticed that some were very light colored, and I immediately just assumed, oh, this is the color. Well, that's years ago, and as I've developed and started doing my own seeds, I've noticed that as they age, they get lighter colored. So I realized that that's why some of those didn't sprout. So
you can't have prehistoric seed. I'd always thought that I could have a seed from the beginning of time, and I'm going to save it forever, and it's still going to grow a fruitful bounty of plant.
You can, but that seed has to be in the right conditions. They need to be stored in a cool, dark place, no light exposure. I actually was fortunate enough to be given some seeds from a woman. She never told me where they came from. I sprouted them. It was the most amazing looking plant. I called her. I said, what the hell was this? She's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I mean, what you just gave me. She says, I don't know where their seeds came from. I said, how do you not know what you're smoking? She says, those seeds are 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we backtracked and found out that what I had was either an original purple Afghani strain or the original purple haze, which disappeared.
Did the seed had like a rebellious attitude?
No, it
Felt
came out
like
of
it
her
could be
storage.
out on the world.
No, this is how I learned this. Her seeds came from, she had her stuff all packed in a storage facility that, was super, super like underground cold. So it was like the perfect environment for these seeds to be able to be
The
preserved.
bomb shelter where this secret strain from biblical times existed, and
They came from Noah's Ark.
you had to switch it with a sandbag of the same weight and run out behind that boulder. What did we call this strain?
Well, I renamed it Jules.
Jules. Yeah, okay, I'm playing the role of the dumb patient here. Okay, so I want to grow. How do I get these fresh seeds, and what do I do with them?
Nowadays, there are actually some local growers that are all up and down the coast of California. We'll just stay here since it's illegal to transport across,
But how does
lines.
what does he do? He doesn't have a network. He doesn't know 50 growers. He's got a seed in his hand. He's listening to the show right now going, what the heck do I do with this?
I'll give you my number after the show.
Okay, there you go. So
I'll hook it up.
So we get.
So you're not going to tell us how to grow the frickin' seed.
No,
Okay.
no,
I'll tell you how to
what do we
grow
do
the
with
seed.
it?
All right, you take the seed, and I actually have experimented with a variety of different ways. First, know this, okay? Any plant in the world, any seeds that are actually developed. Am I taking too long to answer the question?
Yeah, you are.
I'm sorry. All right, look, you can do the stupid. Well, it's not stupid. You take a little tray, you take some paper towels, you wet them, you
There we
set
go.
the seeds on top,
And put a little water.
and put them in a dark place for a few days, and let them just crack, split.
And then how do I know when it's time to put them in the ground?
At that point, you want to transfer them into whatever medium that you're liking to grow into.
Well, what are the choices?
You can go from cocoa coir, you can go from soil, you can go to the wrapper rooter plugs, which is a organic product that's been molded into a little cube.
Is there a better one maybe I should be using over the rest?
Can we get these at Lowe's, or where do we get?
That's the thing about growing, is that it's more conditional to how you are. If you're a lazy person and you want to sort of grow in a medium that doesn't need a whole lot of attention. Maybe if you're mixing a little perlite in there, it allows air, also, holds moisture with cocoa coir. Cocoa coir helps, balance pH, so you're not dealing with it getting too acidic, which the seed may not be able to function very well in. It's just over time I've learned I tend to work with more wet conditions, so only the seeds that I sprout survive in more wetter conditions. So that's why I said it's kind of conditional by how you are.
So dip is atmospheric because we live in a more humid area. We're going to grow different from somebody who lives in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So at what point can I just stick these in my backyard and forget about them and water them every day? Or
Come
whatever?
back and pick up my pot.
Okay, I think we're dealing with someone who's sort of lazy. So
Absolutely.
I would. What you'd want to do then is probably do your seeds in larger containers, so you're not doing a whole lot of transplanting. And the thing is some of the plants don't like being moved a whole lot. So the less taking from smaller container to bigger, maybe you just want one shot. So maybe your way is to sprout them in actual quart containers with soil. Take your finger, dip it in about a quarter of an inch, and just pop the seed in, cover it up very lightly. Do not pack it down, so that it can have a little air and breathe.
I bet you I mess up there a lot. I tend to just really pack it tight too.
No,
I think
bad.
It's more snug.
That's bad. No, bad.
Okay, so these are tips. Zen, we're going to have you. You're going to be coming in a lot for us. You and Mr. A are indoor-outdoor expert growers. I'm going to just be awesome. I'm trying to run the board at the same time.
I see
You're
that.
listening
You're
to the
flying the
NugLife
ship.
Radio Show. We are your hosts. I'm Medicinal Michael, cannabis comic, activist, and educator, I guess, at this point. And we have Dr. Wayne Kelly, 30-year family physician, addiction counselor, and he's also a cannabis doctor. He's the one where we get all our medical recreation cards from Compassionate Harvest Medical Clinic out here in San Marcos, California. We want to thank the Beds for coming in, talking about Green Wave vape pens. Very little glycerin in them, if any at all. Very yummy tasting and no smell. Important is discretion. Dr. Kelly giving us medical knowledge or anything you want to say to these fine people?
Doing my best, and just tell me, can anybody grow their own marijuana?
Anybody can grow. It's usually one or two things.
Okay, well, that was an entertaining section. I hope it was helpful, and we'll be back soon with more information and opinions.
So you're listening to a higher level of education, the NugLife Radio Show, NugLifeRadio.com, or your local AM/FM radio station. Remember to email us at info@NugLifeRadio, Stitcher, iTunes, everywhere that it's possible. Compassionate Harvest Medical Clinic in San Marcos, Medicinal Mike, NugLife Radio, Green Wave, Vape Pens, ZenTwist.com. That's everybody that made the show possible today. Thanks to Sun God Photography and Bobby Bowner in Canada. We love you guys. You're listening to NugLife Radio.
Thanks, everyone, for a great show.
Don't sue me.